one of my students had a trig function question that came up on his test, and the question was, an 11-meter building is 15 meters away from a tall tower. The angle of depreciation from the top of the tower to the top of the building is 30 degrees. What is the height of the tower? The first thing you have to do in these types of questions is obviously to draw out whatever information and whatever they tell you. Obviously, it doesn't have to be as detailed as mine, but it has to be drawn out. The first thing you do is you write down the information that you already have. The first thing that the question tells you is that the building is approximately 11 meters tall. Okay? The distance between the building and the tower, as it has been stated in the question, is 15 meters. Another piece of information that we have is that the angle of depreciation from the top of the tower to the top of the building is approximately 30 degrees. So what we have to do is draw a parallel line like I did just now from the top of the tower, and we draw another line here. Now, when they tell you angle of depreciation, that means from the parallel line, there's a line going from the top of the tower to the top of the building, and it's going to be at 30 degrees. So, I know it's not a straight line, but it'll have to do. So they're saying this angle is 30 degrees, right? So the angle of depreciation, right? Another way they can ask this question is that they can say the angle of elevation from the top of the building to the top of the tower, right, is, I don't know, 30 degrees again, let's say, right? So what you would have to do is draw a parallel line and elevate it 30 degrees. This will be 30 degrees, okay? But that's not what they're asking right now. Okay? So these are the pieces of information we have right now, right? Now, the first thing you have to do is try to relate it to things you already know, right? We know that, well, if the building is 11 meters from here to here, and we assume that the building and the tower are at the same elevation, right? We know that if we draw a line from the top of the building to this part of the tower, we know at least this part of the tower is 11 meters. We have that information, okay? That information is given to us. But what is left is the top of the upper portion of the tower, okay? For you to be able to calculate that, you would have to turn this into a triangle. And once you do, you see that it is a right angle triangle, okay? Now, what rules do you know for a right angle triangle? Well, you know SOHCAHTOA. Okay? SOHCAHTOA, S stands for sine, C stands for cos, T stands for tan. Okay? O is opposite, H is hypotenuse, and A is adjacent. Okay, so opposite and adjacent. Okay? But your problem is that in this triangle, well, you know the distance from the tower, the building to the tower, is 15 meters. So you have this information for this triangle, for this right angle triangle. But you don't have any angles, right? So what you have to do is that, you know, if we assume this is a 90-degree angle, right? If we subtract 30 from it, so 90 degrees minus 30 degrees is equal to approximately 60 degrees. Okay? So if this is the total number of angles is 90 degrees here, if we subtract 30 degrees from it, we're left with 60 degrees. Now we have an interior angle for this triangle. Okay? Now we can use one of these rules to calculate this portion of the tower. Okay? What we can use is, well, we have 60 degrees, right? And opposite from it is 15. So we have an angle and its opposite. And what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for its adjacent. Okay? So what we have to do is look through our list and see whether it's sine, cosine, or tan. Which one uses opposite and adjacent at the same time? In this case, we would see that tan uses both opposite and adjacent. Okay? Now we know the rule is that tan of any angle, we'll call it theta, is always equal to opposite over adjacent. Okay? Well, what is theta? Theta is 60 degrees. So we write it down. Okay? Well, what is opposite from it? 15. So we write that down. Okay? Then what we have to do is cross multiply. So tan 60 times adjacent is equal to 15 times 1. Okay, all I'm doing here is just cross multiplying. Okay? So now, if we want to calculate adjacent, adjacent is equal to 15 divided by tan of 60 degrees. Okay? Now, if you punch this into your calculator, you're going to get something around 19.01 meters. Okay? We can just round it up or down, so it'll just be 19 meters. Okay? Now, this value that you just found, right, is only for the upper portion of this tower. Okay? So what you have to do is add this, which is adjacent, to the 11 meters, which is the height of the building, till there. So now, 19 meters plus 11 meters is equal to 30 meters. So now, you know that the total height of this tower is 30 meters. Okay? This is an example of a trig function question that might come on your test or exam, and all you really need to know is the SOHCAHTOA rule, and you have to know that anytime they're asking for angle of elevation or elevation or depreciation, the first thing you have to do is draw parallel lines and elevate or depreciate from that and find your angles from there. Okay, that'll be all for now.